Hi guys, it's James from Team Calamity here. Today I am bringing you something a little bit special. It's a wind water deck profile fresh from Opus XI. I've been playing wind water for quite a few opuses now, so I decided to stick with it through Opus XI because there was a few cards I noticed in the set that I wanted to try. And I have been kind of playtesting over the last couple of weeks, and I think I've finally settled on a deck list I've enjoyed. This is going to be a fairly in-depth analysis of the deck. I have provided a link to the deck list on FFTCG just in the video description below, so if you just wanted to have a read of that, then feel free. If you want to hear me chat about why I've chosen certain cards, then yeah, stick around. Right, so first of all, obviously one of the main reasons to play the deck is Starter Pain. So if you control Unit and Riku, you both get to draw a card and untap. She's just a massive tempo swing, 7,000 power. You know, she's been in the game since Opus 1 now, everyone knows what this card does. I'm only playing the one Rare Pain. You'll see why in just a moment. I know that some people prefer to play two, but it is only just the one. So, my light and dark choice is Citra. Absolutely nuts card. The fact that you can recycle so many of your summons, and the fact it's an EX burst, and also the fact that you can now tutor it as well, I'll show you how just a little bit later, means that discarding the light card actually wins a lot more games than you would realise. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And then everyone's favourite Wind Legend, other than Fina of course, is Ishtola. Play it at 3. Yes, it got us a little bit worse with Braska's Final Aeon and Kuja Spell, other than the fact that it can't actually negate that damage anymore. At the end of the day, it can still, you know, negate a summon, negate an auto ability. It's still very much worth playing. And then, speaking of Fina, here she is. 3 of is an absolute must. There's a lot of combos in this deck that use her, and she is primarily your board wipe, so you generally keep her in hand until you need to get a nice board wipe. If you need to play it to stand everything back up, you can do. There is some combos to do that as well. And then I play 3 of the rare Porom. Chose this one over the legendary because I am playing Famfrit in the deck. So obviously you can go Porom, Famfrit, etc, etc. I just feel it's a little bit better than the legendary because you are just recurring your stuff over and over, and because it's only a 2-drop as well, if you are stuck on 2 backups you can just play it, and if it does die it doesn't matter too much because you're picking up that summon. But yeah, Porom, Famfrit is kind of the main reason why I'm playing this. And then everyone's favourite wind card is Zidane. This deck plays Miyun, so you have to play Zidane to go with it. You know, there's not much that needs to be said about this guy. The fact that you can just steal your opponent's cards with Miyun and Tidus, you can just continually loop them back together just to kind of steal loads of cards from your opponent's hand. Nothing's really changed here between the last kind of opuses. Still sticking around is Tidus. Play it in 3. Very, very good card. The fact that you can use it to bounce the Miyun back to your hands to bounce your opponents forward, and then main phase 2 play the Miyun to either bounce himself back to your hand to reuse, or start a pain and then untap yourself again. Absolutely crazy. Quick hit is very, very good as well. There is a little combo you can do. If you're on 5 backups, you can play him by just tapping 2 backups, including Brother, and discard a card from your hand, play it, return the Brother to your hand, and then main phase 2, tap 3 backups to play the Brother, add another Tidus to your hand so you've got quick hit straight away, which is absolutely fantastic. And then your opponent's like, I've now got to deal with a 10,000 power guy that can untap itself. So it's a very, very cool thing to do. That is it for the forwards. Now, you may notice that I'm not playing the Opus XI Celes, nor am I playing Ash. The reason for that is the Celes, as much as she is powerful, she's far, far too slow. The fact that you have to attack to actually get her ability off meant that every time I put her down, my opponent was just wiping it off the board. It was either getting dulled and frozen, or it was just getting flat out killed, and I was getting no kind of, no advantage from playing it. The turns it did live, it was absolutely fantastic, but it just wasn't living often enough for me to actually warrant playing it. Ash, it doesn't do much in the deck. I mean, it has the nice ability to negate forwards and pump your waters, yet that's absolutely fantastic. But again, it suffered from the same problem. It doesn't have a huge impact on the board when it comes in. Although you do get to use its ability on the first battle phase, it just wasn't doing enough for 4 CP for me. So I decided to omit it instead. So that is all the forwards. There's 22, which does seem a little bit on the low side. So when you are ditching cards for CP to play your cards, you generally want to pitch your summons because you can recur those with the Citra, with the Boron. Generally avoid throwing away your forwards, otherwise you're going to find yourself running out towards the late stages of the game. So next is your summons. So standard is your free Valafor. Card is absolutely mental, and is even more craziness because there's a few more combos that I'll explain when I get to the backups. Yeah, hitting it on EX Burst, very, very nice, untapping. Playing Valafor to do 3,000 to your opponent's board, then playing Diabolos to break a 5-drop, reduce a 4-drop or less to 1,000 to kill both. Absolutely mental, but it also goes hand in hand with the next card from Opus XI, which is Pandemonium. Now I'm playing free Pandemonium. What does this card do? So choose one backup you control, activate it, and deal 2,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls. If your opponent has received 5 damage or more, activate the backup and then deal 4,000 damage to the forwards opponent controls. So when you get to the 5 damage, it becomes a very, very lethal card. When you're not, it simply becomes a 2,000 AoE for free, because you basically tap the backup you want to play, and then do the 2,000 and then untap the backup. This works very well with Pinello, because you can literally go, once you're on 3 damage, Pinello for 1,000, play Pandemonium by tapping one of your backups, tap Pinello, and keep just doing that. So it really stacks up, especially with Valafor. If obviously you only have Pandemonium and Fina, that is still a 7,000 board wipe. Pandemonium, Fina and Pinello is an 8k board wipe. That is without Una as well. So if you are playing a deck that can destroy your Una, that combo is still intact. So mostly it's Rampair that will try and break your Una, but if it does get broken, then you can still use this combo. It's an EX Burst as well, so it's kind of nice to get here to activate your backup on EX Burst, because sometimes it does activate something that's quite important. So next summon, Famfrit. I have not been playing Famfrit for the last Opus because I felt that it wasn't as good as it used to be. Now, the last kind of Opus between this one and, Opus 10 and Opus 11, you've got a few problem cards that you need to deal with. So, first one that comes to mind, Vraska's Final Aeon. I was playing the 1-drop Choo-Choo Lane, but unfortunately, it chooses. So if you do choose the Vraska's Final Aeon, you're going to get something burned for 10,000. And because it can't be reduced, it doesn't matter if Tola's on the board. If you've got something on the board, it's going to die. Which unfortunately, there's no way of getting around that. That's why you'll notice that I'm not playing the 1-drop Choo-Choo Lane in this deck. However, this card is a kind of one-fits-all, because it deals with a lot of the things that the Choo-Choo Lane actually dealt with. So, obviously Ishtola, if the Ishtola is the only thing on the board, you can obviously Famfrit that, get rid of it. Failing that, you can always Tidus and bounce the Ishtola back to hand. Field Thanos this deals with as well, which is another big problem for the deck. Yeah, anything the 1-drop Choo-Choo Lane dealt with, this card deals with just a lot more effectively. The fact it's an EX Burst as well, if your opponent is going aggressively against you, with the Nuza Dane, with Illua, whatever, you can obviously just hit that on damage and boom, done. There has been a time where somebody has been playing Fire Water against me, and he's gone for the turn 1 Water Zidane, give it haste. Even though I didn't have Una on the board, I just double discarded and played the Fan for it. Meant that he lost the draw from the Belias, and he also lost his card as well. So Valofor or Fan for it is a good kind of start on that one. You know, very, very good choice. I'm glad I've put it in. Yeah. So last summon, you probably realise by now, is Diabolos. This card is just absolutely crazy. Just ever since it was printed, it's been a free of in every deck that plays Wind. It just does a bit of everything. Just untaps your backups to break a 5-drop. You know, reduce a 4-drop or less to 1,000 and break one. You often get a 2-for-1 with that. So if your opponent has got a 5-drop on board, you go attack. Your opponent goes, I'll block with a 4-drop or less. You go, yep, Diabolos, 1,000 to your 4-drop, and then break the 5-drop. You're like, yep, thank you very much. Often it will just generally be used for either breaking a 5-drop and untapping your backups, or making a forward 1,000 and untapping your backups. Significantly worse when you're not on 5 backups, so getting to those 5 backups is very, very important. You know, you use this card an absolute lot. It does suck a bit when it gets cancelled because, you know, it's a 5-drop. But a good trick as well is if your opponent is using it against you and you have, say, Fina on board, if your opponent goes, oh, Diabolos, break your Fina, untap my backups, if you respond and Fan for it away, your own Fina no longer has a target, so it gets essentially cancelled. They don't get to untap. So it's worth bearing in mind, just to keep that Fan for it in hand if you are playing the Fina, just because it stops your opponent's Diabolos just being so good. Right, that's all the summons. There is 12 in total. Like I say, it does seem like a lot, but you do go through them a lot, and you do search them, you do use them, you do recycle them. It actually runs quite a lot of EX bursts, this deck. I think it's about 22, and a lot of them are summons. But yeah, it's I've decided to run that many summons over kind of that many forwards. Right, so we go into the backups now. So obviously, your Una, can't really play the deck without it. So you need it for your Pain, you need it for your Valofor. Generally, people try their best to break this card as quickly as they can, but you need to search this card out as quickly as you can with the rare Pain. You need to have it on board, because it obviously gives you your Fan for it, your Water CP for your Fan for it, as well as kind of all your other bits. But yeah, you generally want to keep this on board, and it's very, very searchable now, which I'll come over to soon. Playing 3 Riku. I was only playing 1 of this card because I was actually playing other backups over it and figured, you know, I can just search it out. But I decided to put it back to 3 because I want to see it. It means that I can search other cards. You know, the EX burst is sometimes relevant against ice, but a lot of the times it's not. But you just want to see it nice and early. You want to get your Una Riku on board and just keep it there. Yeah. And of course, 3 Mune. Decide to play 3 because it's very important that you see it early. The amount of combos you can do with this card is absolutely stupid. You can play it on turn 2 when you play your rare Pain. So yeah, play it, put the rare Pain back to your hand. If you've got the Riku in your hand, you can then discard the Pain to play the Riku, and then you've got the Una Riku Miyun, you've got your 3 backups there. If you've got Starter Pain in your hand, then you can just literally just tap 3, play the Pain, untap the 3, play some more backups, play a Zidane, whatever you'd like. Or if you've got one on board, you can play your Tidus. You can go, yep. I mean, the nice thing is you can actually pay for the Tidus with this. So say, for example, Una, this, and discard a card. Then return this to your hand, bounce one of your opponent's forwards, do your attacks, then main phase 2, put it back down, put the Tidus or the Pain back to your hand, draw a card, and then you're back where you started and you can kind of reuse it. But yeah, absolutely mental card. It's literally what makes or breaks the mirror. If you get yours and your opponent doesn't get theirs, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, very much recommend playing 3 of them. Right, now here is kind of where it gets to what I've been testing and why the deck has been so consistent. I'm playing 3 Shinra. Now people go, wow, that's way too many Shinras. It's not, and I'll tell you why. You want to 100% see this card on turn 1. You know, Brother does the same sort of job, but I prefer playing this as well because it is exactly 4 CP, and it's an EX burst as well, so if your opponent does hit it, you can add a starter pain to your hand. If you've already set up, just add the rare pain and then ditch it for CP. But yeah, it's absolutely kind of crazy and essential to getting this. If you open this card together with Miyun, you can go Shinra into rare pain, and Miyun the pain back to your hand, as well as playing the Yuna, and then tap all 3, search Riku, play it. You've got all your YRP set up with just 2 cards. I mean, even just opening this as your only backup, you're guaranteed 2 backups, because you're going for the pain, and then you search pain, and you get the Yuna, play the Yuna. I absolutely adore this card. I wouldn't play any less than 3. Like I said, I know other people only play the 1 of it. I prefer 3 because it just makes the deck so consistent, and consistency is what wins you the game. Right. Next is 1 Pinello. Argument could be made to play a second. It was more kind of space. You know, she's absolutely essential when it comes to doing the Pandemonium combos, the Valofor combos. In fact, you can go tap it to do 1000 damage. Valofor untaps itself, retap it, play Pandemonium, untap itself, tap again. You know, you can board wipe a massive board for a good, you know, I've wiped 10,000 power forwards off the board just by doing this combo. My opponent's had Sephiroth, they've had Braska's Final Aeon, and it just, together with this card, it just, you know, board wipes, so it's incredible. But yeah, would I play more than 1? Arguable. It's good in some matchups, it's not good in, you know, against others. I feel 1 is probably fine. I don't miss it when I don't draw it, I just play, you know, play different stuff. But yeah, you need to be playing at least 1. Play just 1 Brother. So together with the 3 Shinra, play the 1 Brother because it searches the Tidus. As I mentioned earlier, you can bounce it back to your hand, replay it main phase 2, get another Tidus for the quick hit special. I feel 1 is fine. If you see it, great. If you don't, it's not a big deal. Sometimes you actually do play it to search water CP because there is only 13 water cards in this deck. So you generally do play it kind of like turn 2 to search Tidus, discard the Tidus to play the Yuna. Yeah, it's absolutely fine at 1. Don't feel it needs to be playing anymore. I prefer 3 Shinra, 1 Brother than a different split. 1 copy of Artemisian. Now the reason I'm playing this card is I needed a second water backup, and it was either going to be Artemisian or Yard Rosh. Now Yard Rosh is good against Rampair if you see it, but it doesn't do much against other decks. It has a very niche use against Ice with Legendary Squall, and sometimes Ash, but other than that it's a pretty useless backup. Artemisian, with Citras, they seem to kind of stick to my hand very early into the game. I've drawn 3 Citras in my first 10 cards before. I don't know why they just all come to my hand, they just seem to like being there, so I need to play this card to kind of put them on the back, or sorry, put them on the bottom. The nice thing about this is as well, if you do draw a fair amount of forwards or summons right at the start of the game, you're like, I need backups to actually set up, because this deck needs to be playing the backups. You can just go Artemisian, throw back everything that's not a backup, then draw some more cards and then just go from there. The nice thing about this, if you do get a load of Citrus stuck in your hand, you can play the Miyun, bounce this back to your hand, replay it, put the Citrus back in, you know, and just draw it. It kind of fixes your hands for you. Only play the 1, but the reason why I wanted to play a second water backup is so that you can do the Porom Famfrit trick in 1 turn. So if you've got 2 water backups, you can just play the Porom and then play the Famfrit by tapping another backup, sack that, you know, get back a Famfrit if you need to, or another backup, whatever it may be. But it's just kind of there so you can do Porom Famfrit in 1 turn. That's the only reason. It just needed a second water backup just to do that trick, and that was the one I decided to pick. Now the 50th card is the one I wanted to spend a little time talking about because it's kind of what makes the deck absolutely crazy in Opus XI, and it's this girl here. Now, when you first read her, so you pay 4 CP, which has to include 2 wind, and tap her, search for 1 character and add it to your hand. Now, that seems quite expensive, but when you kind of delve into it a little bit, it's not so much. I'll kind of explain some of the combos with it. So, first things first, if you actually do just start with Fiona as your only backup, you're like, ooh, I'm a bit stuck here. It's not, it's not as big a problem as you think. So you can just discard 2 cards, including 1 wind, tap her, search for a Una, then play your Una, then you're actually, you're at 2 backups, you can do it again next turn if you want. I wouldn't recommend doing it too many times because you are negging yourself a card each time you do it, but it is possible. But this card as well, when your Una gets broken, say by Rampair for example, not a big deal. I've had a game before where I've had 5 backups just open, my opponent's gone, play Shantotto, break your Una, I've gone Diabolos, break your Shantotto, untap my backups, and then tap Fiona plus the other 4 backups while Una's still there, search for another Una, put it into my hand, and then just let the Una die. Now I've got another one to play. The reason why this is relevant as well is with Valifor. So while you are on your 5 backups, you will always, because I'm only playing the 2 water backups, if you've got 5 backups, you'll always be able to do the search. So say for example, you've got 5 backups, well even 5 backups tapped. You've got Una on board, your opponent swings, they hit a Valifor and you go, oh no, it might have done nothing. It might have killed no forwards, you might have nothing in hand to interact with it. That's fine, because you untap your 5, tap your Fiona plus 4, and just get a character to hand. It can be Start of Pain, it can be Tidus, which includes grabbing another Tidus for the Tidus special. It can be Citra to use her action ability. It can be Fina as well, which is one of the big combos I wanted to speak about as well. So, if you've got, let's sort of set up just for an example board for you. Okay, so there's an example here. Now, let's see. Right, so your opponent has got a nice big juicy board. You have got a Valifor in your hand. So it could be maybe you've just drawn it, you've maybe Citra'd it back to your hand, whichever. But what you can do is you go, okay, start turn, say like you've got, I don't know, a couple of useless cards in your hand, they're not doing much. You can basically go, yep, Fiona, tap 2, discard a card into the break zone, and get your Fina. You then go tap Valifor, untap, and then you go tap 4 and play Fina. So all that required was you just to have Fiona on board and a Valifor in your hand. That's all it kind of took. Combo doesn't work well with Pandemonium, it's pretty much just Valifor, but it allows you to kind of, Fina Valifor at whatever point you like because you've got that on board. And because the Valifor is so easily, you can pick it up from the break zones, you pour on with your Citra, etc, etc. It's such an easy combo to do and you're never kind of safe. So, that is the deck in a whole. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, the deck list is going to be in the link below. Give the deck a go. If you got any recommendations that you figured you've tried, then please let me know. But other than that, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll speak to you later.